Hello and welcome back to the Bears and Lions podcast. I'm Kyle Vaught. About 20 years ago, Staples ran an ad campaign during Super Bowl 39 that was so successful it's continued on to today. In fact, some of the commercials have become even funnier, while other commercials have become more practical. But the primary message of the commercial is if you're going through something extremely difficult or something that's hard, or maybe it's just something you don't want to do, how awesome would it be to have a red button that you could press and all of your problems would go away? That's right. I'm talking about the easy button ads. And it was an incredible ad campaign. I absolutely loved it. Even when I was younger, I wanted an easy button. I wanted it for chores and I wanted it for the homework and things like that I just didn't want to do, right? I wanted to get out of it. So I wanted to hit an easy button. But as I've grown older, my problems have also grown with me. So now I want to use the easy button for things like difficult conversations at work or actually still chores, believe it or not. How awesome would it be to have an easy button where you just hit it and all your laundry's folded and your bed's made and your meal preps are done? Or getting home from work, you just hit it, dinner's ready to go. We want that, right? How awesome would it be to have an easy button for bills? I basically just heard your sigh through the speaker, right? Of just the relaxation of if you had an easy button that took all of your bills away, life would be so much better. You and I both know this. We want that. That would be so incredible. And it's great to fantasize about, but we know that that's not real. We know that there's not an easy button that we can press and all of our problems go away. In fact, sometimes we wish there was so much that we look for shortcuts that cheapen the moment, or we try to cut corners. And sometimes that leaves us even more broken and more stressed out than before. And that's what I want to talk to you about today is hard things, difficult things. And maybe you're in a season of life where you're going through something very hard. This podcast is for you. Or maybe you're going through something that isn't hard at all. Maybe life is honky-dory and super easy and you are on top of the world. And we celebrate that with you. But I do think this podcast is also for you because I think that we all have things that we can do to prepare or be ready for when the hard things hit. It's interesting because I think we do cut corners sometimes and it cheapens, not necessarily always cheapens, but sometimes it's a good thing. Like innovation's awesome. Being able to, like at any moment, bring up a movie on Netflix instead of having to go to the store and rent it or go to the store and buy it, like when I was younger, that's awesome. Innovation's incredible. The air fryer is probably one of my favorite innovative things ever because instead of having to heat up a full, a whole oven, you have to go through all these things. I can literally just 10 minutes, wings are ready, or fries are ready, or tater tots are ready, or whatever else. I literally cook everything in the air fryer. I love the air fryer. But an innovation that I think is interesting would be where we cut corners would be like AI. I use AI. I'm not here to dog on AI, but I do find it interesting because we can use it in so many different applications and it saves us so much time. And we can go through and do really difficult things or hard things and use AI and it makes it so much simpler. Hey, I want to say this. Can you give me a better way of saying it? And AI spits out, this beautiful sonnet basically of, hey, I need to apologize to my girlfriend for something that I did, and this is what I did, and this is what I want to say in a way. Can you say it even better? And then AI just spits it out, and then you're like, look, honey, I'm really sorry. I've been not myself lately. You go through the whole spiel, and it makes it sound a lot better. It's kind of cutting corners, though. In fact, there are even studies right now that are being done where people who are heavily dependent on AI for reading comprehension and writing skills and critical thinking, they just, anything that they need. Oh, I need a paragraph for this, AI. I don't want to read this paragraph. AI. Hey, what's this paragraph say? Okay, great. Critical thinking. What's that paragraph mean? AI will just spit it back. They're actually finding in those studies, though, that people are losing their critical thinking and their writing skills and their reading skills because of AI. They're actually losing something instead of gaining something. Again, I'm not here to dog on AI. It's a tool, and I think that we should use it as a tool. It's a very valuable tool when used correctly, but it's not something that we should depend on solely, because we'll actually lose parts of ourselves because it's not all real. It's kind of like social media, right? Like, we know that's not real. We will give a certain amount of ourselves to it, and we'll see people on there. We'll say, oh, this person's so incredible, and they're amazing, and they're always in the gym, and they're always doing X, Y, and Z. We might see 90 or 1% of their 99% of life. Some of the full-time influencers, we might see 95% that we don't see, and then we only see 5% of their actual social media persona. Like, I hope I'm not bursting your bubble, but we know that social media, it's all facade. This is not a new thing. This is an old thing. And when I say it's an old thing, back in the Renaissance time, way a long time ago, there was these artists that would do these sculptures in stone or bronze, or sometimes they would do these beautiful paintings, etc. But specifically the ones who would do the sculptures, it would take them sometimes days, months, even years to complete. If you look at Michelangelo's David, how intricate it is. I mean, you can even see the striations of like the muscles on David. And it took painstaking hours of chiseling I'm talking chiseling the dust of the dust off and then polishing it so you get that smooth stone texture. And it's so beautiful. And when it's complete, it's a masterpiece. And you had artists that would do those little statues all the time, and they were so beautiful, and they were all sorts of places. But then you had other artists who were like, I don't really want to do that, and I don't want to go through the time. So what they would do is they would take a cheaper piece of stone or a lesser piece of stone, and they would kind of chisel it and get it close, and they would kind of like do the outline essentially, and then they would put wax over some of the jagged edges, and maybe they'd smooth it out here or there, and then they would sell it because it looked good, but it would have this wax. And the genuine artists would say, wait, this isn't real. Like, they're churning out what takes us months, is they're churning out in days. Like, this is unfair. This is dumb. This isn't real. Like, it'll melt. It's not the real deal. So what they did was, these genuine artists, whenever they would complete a sculpture that was fully stone, they would sign it sincera, which means without wax. It's where we get the term sincerely, genuine, right? These artists would have these beautiful stone, sculptures that would be sincera, without wax. They're real. They were delicately put through and chiseled away, and polished and chiseled and polished and chiseled until it looked like that. How many of us do this in our lives? How many of us will take the difficult parts of our lives or the difficult moments in our lives and we just put wax over them? Maybe we chiseled too hard, and so we have a couple jagged edges, or maybe we haven't chiseled enough. And so instead of doing the work to just chisel little bits at a time, we say, nope, we're just going to cut it off and we'll put wax over it. So we chisel real hard, and then we just put wax over the jagged edge. We cover up what we don't want people to see, just like social media. I mean, it literally, isn't that what fillers are, right? When people want BBLs, or they get, boob jobs with basically silicone, right? It's wax. Just, I don't want to do anything about it, so I'm going to take the easy route. Botox, etc., right? there's so many things. Ozempic is another one, right? And Ozempic is probably, I don't know about Botox, but I do know Ozempic does have some health benefits when used correctly. So I'm not going to like dog on that, but like all these, it's always what we want people to see about us, right? If somebody walks down the street and sees me, what do they notice first? I want to be without wax. I want to be genuine. And I want to challenge you to stop trying to make the hard things in your life easier. We do this all the time. Or we want to cover things up that we've gone through with a little bit of wax. We want to downplay what we've gone through, right? Sometimes it's good because we do it with perspective, right? Maybe you're going through something really difficult and you recognize, you know what, maybe I'm complaining right now. Other people have had it way worse. You know, these people have gone through way more difficult things than me. I need to be thankful for where I am. And that's good to have perspective like that. But you know what's not good is when you're going through something really difficult and it's really hard and your friends ask you, "How are you doing?" And you say, "Fine." You're putting wax over something that's not genuine. You're putting wax over the jagged edges of the things that are making you not fine. There's a saying from a guy, I've mentioned Alex Hormozy on the podcast before quite a bit, but there's a saying that's lived rent-free in my head for the last probably 2 years. Hard things are hard. That's why they're called hard things. We need to stop trying to make hard things easier. Otherwise, they would be called easy things. The whole reason why we celebrate championships in sports is because it's hard to get there. The whole reason why we celebrate graduating is because it's hard to get there. If we are only celebrating all the easy things and we want to make all the hard things easy, there's nothing to celebrate. It's not hard. Right? What's the saying? If it's easy, everybody would do it. Hard things are hard. That's why they're called hard things. And instead of trying to wish it away, instead of trying to stop it from being hard and finding a shortcut, sometimes the best thing that we can do is experience it and grow from it. Because that hard thing develops skills and mentality and some resilience to be able to recognize, oh, I made it through that. And if I made it through that, then I definitely can keep going. That's why this podcast is called Bears and Lions, because I believe that our greatest future lies within the correct view of our past. Because when you actually look at your past, you see all the things that you have made it through, all the hard things that you have accomplished or done, the things that you've gone out of your way to put time and effort into. You've been inspired by people, and you've also inspired people, whether you know it or not. That's when I think you step into your greatest future, is because you're no longer bound by the chains of it's too hard. You have to build on it and recognize that I've done hard things before. I can do hard things now. And yes, there's some of it that's innovation to say, there's an easier way, right? I'm all for innovation. At work, I still love finding innovative ways to do my job a little bit better or a little bit smarter. I'm always looking for innovation. But at the end of the day, as a whole, the job collectively can be hard at times. Whether it's super busy, whether it's super stressful, whether people come or go, it can be hard. And sometimes we just need to sit in that hard. There's a saying, there's purpose in the pain. And I actually believe that sometimes, not every time, but sometimes the pain is the purpose. The pain is what teaches us. Like the first person who started fire and then grabbed it and realized that's hot. It taught them that it's hot and to not grab the burning log. In the same way, when we're young, we grow and we learn these lessons. We learn certain things. But as we grow, we develop more and more wisdom and more resilience because we recognize that was difficult and I made it. That's why I think it's important to recognize the pain. Sometimes the entire purpose is to feel it so that you recognize, oh, this is what that feels like. I don't want to do this anymore. This is how hard it is. I've met so many people who have gone through difficult breakups and divorces and struggles and things of that nature where they've learned from them and they came out the other side and they say, I'm so glad that I experienced that because I would never have recognized this about me. There's a purpose, and that pain sometimes is that purpose, is to help you understand, no, this is not healthy. This is bad. I never want to wish this on anybody, and I'm not saying every situation, pain is a good thing. Pain is oftentimes in our bodies, especially, it's a trigger system to show, hey, something's wrong, something's off. And sometimes we are so addicted to taking pills to numb the pain or drugs to get rid of the pain or not think about the pain that it actually distracts us from the fact that there's pain going on. Why? Because something is off. So I do think that sometimes the purpose is the pain. We need to feel it so that we address whatever is painful. A lot of you know I'm very much into my faith, and I believe in and love Jesus with all my heart. And there have been some difficult times that I've gone through, especially recently. And there's still difficult things that play in my mind daily. Again, it's social media, so you only see like 2% of what my life actually is. And I share a little bit more on this podcast, so you probably see more like 10%, to be honest. I try to be very honest, especially with my social media. If anybody looks at it, love Jesus, love food. I like working out. I want to be healthy, love golf. That's basically what I post about. But lately I've been going through the book of Isaiah in the Old Testament. And it's been very encouraging because you get to see the heart of God, the characteristics of God. And if you've never read through the Bible, or you've never read the Bible, or maybe you've read a little bit and you got bored, there's a really great series that my church is going through. I would love to share it with you. Hit me up on Instagram or on X or even on the YouTube, comments or anything like that. Like I'd love to connect. Instagram's at Kyle_Vaught. That's V as in Victor. ATT is how you spelled my last name. But I'd love to share it with you. But there's something about going through scripture where you see the heart of God and you see how compassionate he is and how he allows difficult things to happen to the nation of Israel, which is the nation that he chose in the Old Testament. It says he's the chosen nation. In fact, he names the first guy, Israel, that started the tribe. His name was Jacob. There was people before him as well, but I digress. But one of the things that's been going on really difficult for me is I've been wanting to get rid of it. And I do this too often where I ask and pray, Lord, take this away, heal this, fix this. And as I've thought about hard things being hard things, I recognized how often I try to pray away the very thing that draws me closer to God. And so I challenge you, for those of you who believe, I challenge you. Be very careful that you don't pray too quickly away the very thing that leads you to the foot of the cross. I pray that you sit there for a little bit. I pray that I sit there a little bit. And instead of wanting everything to be fixed, I just sit in the awe of the characteristics of God and recognize that He is so faithful. And sometimes He allows bad things to happen to good people. It's the most common question that I hear is, why does He allow that? And I don't really have a clear answer. But if you take God out of the equation, right? Maybe you say, Kyle, I'm not a believer. I don't know anything about Christianity and I don't want anything to do with Christianity. Okay, great. Let's take God out of the equation. God doesn't exist in this scenario. Do bad things still happen in the world? And the answer is yes. Bad things still happen. Hard things are still hard. Life is not simple or, rainbows and unicorns. It's hard. We all know that. And if God doesn't exist in this scenario, it's still difficult. So my comment, my belief, and my faith is that I would rather go through the hard things with God. And maybe you're somebody who's never had a conversation. I'd love to have a conversation with you. Love to just simply sit down. I am not here to get you to believe in God. I'm not here to convince you. But I am here to just share. And I can hear your story. So if you do want to, please reach out. DM me on social media. DM me on Instagram. That's where I'm on mostly. I'd love to have a conversation with you about it. I think it's extremely important to be able to recognize that life is hard and hard things are hard. But when we're going through those really, really hard things, I do find that faith in a good God who is so gracious, and when you see the characteristics of who He is through Scripture, it makes those hard things a little bit less hard because you understand that there's purpose in the pain, there's purpose in the droughts, there's purpose in the famines, there's purpose in the moments that nothing makes sense. And then sometimes there's just no reason. It just happens. And being able to recognize that sometimes hard things are just hard things and there's no way to make it easier. A great perspective is to recognize, nope, this was just a hard thing. There's so much peace in being able to say, there's not a reason this happened. It's just really hard right now. So we got to move forward with it. You don't have to blame anybody else. You don't have to blame God. You don't have to blame Satan. All you have to do is just simply say, yep, it's really hard right now. And I'm going to deal with it. So if you're in that season where it's really, really hard right now, this is what I'm going to tell you. Don't put wax over it. Find a friend. Tell them it's hard. Tell them that you are struggling. Be honest with yourself. If not for them, for you, be honest with yourself, to yourself. Hey, you're struggling right now. Are you putting on a facade for everybody? Are you basically posting the social media posts where you want everybody to see it, but inside you're just broken and hurting? Be honest. And if you're somebody who's going through life and you're happy-go-lucky and there's nothing in the world, this is what I'm going to challenge you. Hard things do happen. And it's great to be on a mountaintop. And it's great to celebrate. but also recognize that while you're here and while you're experiencing it, a really good thing to remember is that there will be a day where it's going to be hard again. And having that perspective keeps you from going too high with the highs and too lows with the lows. It's a lesson that I'm not really good at yet, but I'm learning. And it's something that I've been thinking about. So I really appreciate each and every one of you for listening. I have a lot going on, so I don't know if next week I'm going to do a episode. I really hope so. But I'm just giving you a heads up. If I miss a week, keep me accountable. Hit me up on social media, primarily Instagram. That's where I do most of my stuff. Like I said, it's at Kyle_Vaught. It's in the bio below or in the details below. So you can absolutely follow me there. I would love to hear from you. If you have questions about scripture or about God or about Jesus, I would love to talk to you. If you have no faith or no belief or no desire to have any of that, but you do have questions, still reach out. I'd love to have a conversation with you. It is so incredibly encouraging to know that there is a community that we're building here, that you can be open and honest and you can share things. And I would love to be able to have a podcast where I answer questions or be a little bit more direct, be a little bit more personable. Maybe there's something you're going through that you would love to hear me talk about. Reach out to me. I'd love to have that conversation and do some research for you and share some thoughts and ideas. Not because I think I know what's right or think that I know everything. Just simply sometimes it's best to hear a little bit of a different perspective from somebody else. For everybody, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Remember to give grace, show love, and as always, stay stellar. Peace.